The beauty of sport is that age really doesn't define your merit. Not in theory and certainly not in practice too. The biggest proof is being dished out at the Chess Candidates Tournament. The Candidates Tournament is underway in Toronto, and it is the most prestigious chess tournament that features the top 8 in the world, the best in the world. We gave you a short preview of that right here. There's of course a lot at stake here when the best battle each other. I remember Magnus Carlsen coming out saying he'd be surprised to see an Indian win this thing. Here's exactly what he had said to set up this tournament.
I do think the old guys are favourites this time, specifically Nakamura, Caruana and Nepomniachtchi. Nakamura and Caruana are the best and the most consistent players there. It would be surprising if Alireza wins, but if any of the other 4 win, it would be a shock.
Now don't come at me saying here we go again and that Carlsen was only being practical and fair in his assessment. True, but that brings me back to the starting point. Sure, experience is the tool every sport falls back on. But we are being constantly proved otherwise. This year, in fact, has belonged to the youngsters, the teenagers, who are taking the world of sport by storm. Whether it is the youngest darts champion, the teen who defeated Tetris, the world #1 para-archer, or Domaraju Gukesh, the teenager who is creating quite the stir at the Candidates Tournament. At just 17 years of age, he has been clinical, mature and absolutely astute in his display. Gukesh broke a few records by just making it so far. Gukesh is sharing the top spot with Ian Nepomniachtchi. He's the second youngest to feature at the Candidates Tournament. Only the legendary Bobby Fischer at 16 took part in this, and that was decades ago, in 1959. And after the completion of 6 rounds at the Candidates Tournament, Gukesh is sharing the top spot with the most fancied to win. Gukesh played out a 6-hour-long marathon game against Nihat Abusov and won that game. It wasn't just the victory that stood out, it was the manner in which Gukesh sealed that top spot. A calm and composed youngster waiting for his opponent to falter. You know, chess is a sedentary sport, but it is physically draining. Any chess player of a stature will tell you 6 hours of a mentally brutal game is physically draining. Just before the last move, Gukesh in fact stood up and walked about, pacing to keep his mind alert, waiting for his opponent to fall into the checkmate gambit. There was no way out for Abusov after that grueling game. In fact, Gukesh addressed the press at the tournament and he was asked who did he fear the most facing. The tournament has some of the best in the business, barring of course Magnus Carlsen, who pulled out of the tournament himself. Now, Gukesh takes a beat to answer that, but says no one before giving a shy smile. That tenacity to win at all costs and fear no one is highly commendable. To think that Gukesh wouldn't have even been a part of this tournament. He in fact just about barely managed to qualify in here. He came in right at the end, just sneaked right in. His compatriots Vidit Gujrathi and Praggnanandhaa, the more fancied ones, qualified through singles events by winning the FIDE World Cup and the FIDE Grand Swiss event. Gukesh qualified through the long, winding FIDE circuit route. And when he was trying to better his ratings to qualify for the tournament, his results started dipping and faltering. The pressure was getting to him, and just when it seemed like he wouldn't make it, came the Grandmasters event in India's city of Chennai, and he qualified through that in December. Many, including Carlsen, Magnus Carlsen, had in fact written off Gukesh, which is why his performance is the highlight of the tournament so far. Here's a chess master who has had no history of the sport in his family. His father is a surgeon, mother a microbiologist, a far cry from sport, let alone chess. But his passion is what motivated him. He started playing at the age of 7, became the second youngest grandmaster at the age of 12 in December 2019, beat Magnus Carlsen some years later in 2022. So the success he's enjoying currently at the tournament probably comes as little surprise. Before the tournament began, all eyes were on Praggnanandhaa, the highest ranked Indian at the candidates event. He's holding his ground too. He's at the 3rd spot alongside Fabiano Caruana. And yes, there are still a few more rounds to go and 11 more days. That's a while to hold your ground and even better it. The tournament is a rigorous one and has a very competitive, tedious process to it. It requires patience and playing the long game, which is where experience comes in. But Gukesh is already showing glimpses of what is possible in the games that have taken place so far. Now is when the mental toll will begin to set in, so the most difficult stretch is yet to begin.